I think the first one would be, like I said, to invest in yourself, to choose yourself. That's my truth. Whatever I left this earth being was because of my relationship with me and the fact that at every given step, I chose what was best for me. And by that, I don't mean like by being selfish, but by choosing for my validation and my self-worth to come from my actions and my achievements. That would be one truth. The second one is the only way to love is completely. Whether that is, the love you have for your husband, your child, your parents, your friends, the world, earth, the environment. But there is no being careful in love. And don't be careful in love. Just give it and, flow like a stream, a waterfall. It's so joyous. My third truth would be family. The family you're born into, the family you choose, and the family that chooses you. There are so many people in your life that come into your journey and leave, for a long duration, for a short duration. But the memories of respecting and honoring family is very important. Those would be my three truths. I believe life is short. And I believe if you aim for excellence every day in every job that you have, your life is bound to be full of excellence. Recognizing that confidence is not something we are born with. It's a skill. It's like, it's a muscle almost. If you think of it like going to the gym and, to have muscles and to be in shape, you got to work at it. So confidence to me is like that. You start using that at a very small level. Everyday life, when you're in school, there were times when I was in school where I used to take the other hallway because I didn't want to bump into someone else. When I started high school, by the time I was in 11th grade, I was walking in the middle of the hall. I didn't even have to say that, I was just walking and that's the same person. But I think that in any profession or any aspect of life, perception is reality. Most people believe that, right? That how people perceive you is what they think reality is. So give them something perceivable. I wake up in the morning, I take time in the bathroom. Like I shower, I will, pick the outfit that I'm feeling today. I will, sort of doing my makeup and my hair sort of helps me, or my skincare routine actually at night helps me be sort of introspective. Otherwise, through the day, I'm very erratic. I have, multiple balls in the air. Professionally, I'm doing a lot of things. I'm always behind on time. I'm always playing catch up. So at the end of the night and the beginning of the day, I really give myself some silence. I play music and, I put my creams on and I really think about what the day is going to be like and how my first step outside the room is going to be. When I take that first step outside my safe space, it sets the tone for my day. So I try not to have it be erratic or scary or like, if I'm late and if I'm running, that always sets the tone for my energy through the day. So I try to really, start my day on the tone I want to have and the confidence I want to have. And at every given step during the day, I remind myself of the things I have instead of the things I don't have. Like insecurity comes from, a lot of it sometimes I think comes from, oh my gosh, I don't have this, it's not good enough, or I'm not good enough for a particular scenario or a particular situation, or, we start judging ourselves. And this was another lesson, actually, an activity that my mom and I used to do is we used to count our blessings. And, me and my husband do it too whenever we're feeling crazy because our schedules are insane. We're always in different parts of the world. We do that. We count our blessings, about just 5 things that whenever you're feeling sort of crazy and unstable, that you have that you're really grateful for. And I'm not even saying this superficially. This was like truly an exercise. No matter how badly off you are, someone else is worse off than you. That makes it so easy to count your blessings. Anyone who has a roof above their head and meals on their table is privileged. And as privileged people, like, that's something that's our concern. There's a large generation of children who don't have a choice in their future or in their lives. They don't know if they can have aspirations or dreams. And how desensitized are we? When last time, you've driven past a homeless shelter and you've not even looked at it, or a homeless person and not even looked at them. It's the desensitization that we as people who have, and that's the differentiation between the have-nots. Also a reality, and it's a reality everywhere in the world. That innovation and reinventing who I am, even for me, is so important. And being true to the craft that I'm doing, which is my job. So I started trying new things. I started wanting to grow. I didn't want to stagnate into doing the same kind of roles. I didn't want to stagnate in, similar kind of parts or even languages and borders. But if I sat down to think about the glass ceiling that was built for me, I would never have a trajectory powerful enough to break it. It's been made by other people. So you just kind of have to have, speed and run towards your end game and, have a goal and be ambitious and fuel that ambition every single day. Life is like a really fast river. You don't know what the currents are going to be because it's just moving. You don't know what you're going to bump into because it's just moving. But you have to choose to hold on to something when you want to take a breath, right? Just like that, you have to choose to hold on to a relationship, whatever that might be, with your children, with your family, with your parents. You have to make the time, and you have to tell the people you love that you love them. Don't just assume that they know. When you want to create a legacy, it's what you do after failure that matters. Everyone's going to fail. You're definitely going to fail if you're trying a new thing, and if you don't try a new thing, you're not going to evolve. So if someone has put all their eggs in one basket and is like, this is everything I know and it's going to work, you're setting yourself up for failure and for God to laugh. You've got to take a risk, and you've got to know that there's always going to be a risk that it doesn't work out, and it's going to suck. And, you lock yourself up in a room and eat pizza for 5 days and get over it, and pull your big girl pants up and go back to work and create something else. I think it's very entitled to expect that the first time or every single time it's always going to work out. It'll never always work out. The person you are, your worth comes from how you react after you fail or how you react after you're hurt. That's being a person of integrity. You're born alone and you're going to die alone. This is your journey and yours only. So now, if for this journey we're expecting someone else to contribute to your trajectory, it's skewed. That's not the truth. That's like some utopian illusion that people live in. No one can contribute to your happiness. It's only you that can contribute to receiving what you're receiving. If we receive that from somebody else, that when they give me a gift, it validates me, or when somebody writes great comments, it makes me feel better about myself. You're receiving validation instead of having it within yourself and creating your own validation, which comes from, like I told you, my self-worth comes from seeing the successes out of things that I have worked towards creating, that I have my hands and feet into, my movie, my job, my book, my business, the things that I have done. But I think taking pride in who we are and what we bring to the table is, I think, the greatest joy of them all. And it cannot be compared to what somebody else does, whether that's the best partner in the world, um, the most number of followers, or that's not the truth. When you sleep at night, do you have a fitful sleep, or are you content? Do you wake up anxious? Are you stressed because you need someone else to do something for you? I think that's the journey we all have to make, is to come to a place of, what can I do for myself today that's going to make me smile? I feel like parents in general can teach their sons to be vulnerable and can teach their sons to respect women. I think that is a responsibility of the world in a big way, is, when we're talking about sexism, or we're talking about gender equality, or feminism, even for that matter, the largest thing that is required is for men to be in our corner, and for men to respect their sisters, wives, daughters, friends, because you have been given the torch for eons. And it's important for you to share it. It's important for you to recognize that you need to create that opportunity for women. I mean, honestly, congratulations, by the way, on your first female VP. I come from a country that has seen, several females in governance, and that's an opportunity that needs to be created. I also think that as what men can truly do is create opportunity for females, and give credence to their intelligence, give credence to our abilities, and recognize it for being a peer, and being an equal in as different as we are, in our physiologies, in our ideologies, in our behavior, and all the other complex things. But when it comes to merit, and when it comes to opportunities, we should be creating more for women. Men should be.
Yeah.
And for women, if we're talking about creating healing, but to find it in our hearts to forgive patriarchy that came before us, and to fight towards creating a world which is inclusive of both genders, which is respectful of both genders, which gives opportunity for both genders. Women have for eons been treated like second-class citizens, and they're bound to be angry. But, the only way to create healing is to forgive existing and previous misogyny and patriarchy, and fighting for your right so that we leave an easier sort of world and male-female dynamic for our children. They shouldn't have to inherit this problem, this inequality. They shouldn't. I would say I was very influenced by both my parents, and I'm very close to both of them. I think the deepest influence that I've had from both, and if I can take a second to tell you about that, from my father was, a sense of adventure. He said, be like water. Water sort of adjusts into wherever it has to go. It can be a mighty waterfall, it can be a teardrop. It doesn't matter. Just be like that. And why he said that to me was because he was in the military. My parents were in the military, and I may have been 4 years old when I remember the first time he came and said, we have to move. And we moved every 2 years, and I hated it at the beginning. So I think to give me a sense of adventure, my dad said to me that, every time you go to a new place, you can have a blank slate. No one's going to know where you're coming from. So whoever you want to be, you can be. And that was very exciting to me. So that was influential on my dad's end. And I think from my mom, she always told me that you make sure you're always financially independent. It doesn't matter whose daughter you are. It doesn't matter whose wife you are. It doesn't matter where you go. You have to stand on your own feet. And, that was really, really pivotal advice at a very young age that she instilled in me, which gave me a really large sense of self. I've had many of those in my career. I mean, whatever, when you have a trajectory that you're looking for in a career, and I always want my trajectory to be going up, just like everybody else, right? We all want to win. But that doesn't just happen by thinking about it or wanting it. You've got to take the steps to get somewhere. And I feel like when you're taking those steps, especially in our jobs, which is so transitory, right? Like 3 of my movies don't work, or I won't have a job. And it's not like 9 to 5 where a check is coming in. The consistency of that doesn't exist in my profession. And it's kind of like, you've got to just go with the time. You've got to evolve. You've got to keep moving. It's a constant hustle. And so there's a large part for insecurity, because it's an insecure business.
Yeah.
How long are you going to survive in this business? What are you going to pivot to? How are you going to evolve? What is the evolution of yourself even as a human being the next couple of years? And I think that I just have learned how to be insecure. Sometimes each person can be vulnerable and emotional, and it's okay to allow yourself to feel that. When we're hungry, we eat, right? When you're thirsty, you drink water. So sometimes you need to give your body and your mind what it's asking for. So if it's hurting, and this is not something I always knew, by the way. This was on the other side of 35 is when I learned this. But it's okay to just take a second and feel insecure. The best way of dealing with that, at least for me, is talk to someone you love and just admit the fact that you're feeling insecure. And somehow, it takes away its power when you voice it and when you discuss it. As soon as you think about everything you have versus the insecurity you were feeling, it's not powerful anymore. And I've had phases of it being a couple of hours to it being a couple of years. It just depends on how quickly you can deal with it. But I know that each and every time, there has been a point where I got bored. How much do I wallow in self-pity? Come on now. Now I'm bored. I don't even know where else to pivot in my self-pity. And then you just kind of, like Aaliyah says, dust yourself off and try again. But that's the only way, I guess. It's so funny. I don't really have a definition, but I think Bruce Springsteen said this. I don't even want to be rich. I don't want to be famous. I don't even want to be happy. I just want to be great. And I think that when I read that, it sort of explained to me what I felt, because it's intangible. Greatness can be in the smallest things of, when you wake up in the morning and you're awareness of being kind to people, being empathetic, saying good morning, even telling your parents you love them when you haven't done it. That's greatness. That's a great kid. That's being a great spouse, being a great daughter, being a great, there's greatness in everyday moments. And then there's also greatness in achieving your dreams. So I think being able to go to bed at night, knowing that you have spent a good day on this earth is the most important form of greatness. And that you can achieve by setting your own goals. My goals are, okay, my movie's released, I've written my book, I've done a press day tour and a book tour, and I sleep at night knowing that I've achieved my entire day. It could be that, or I could be in sweats watching, Netflix all day and be smiling with my family and playing Scrabble. That would also be greatness to me. But going, living your life, I truly believe that there's got to be a reason, right, that we are born on earth. And the most simple and logical thing to me is probably our purpose of life is to live it well and to live it happily. So if you go to sleep at night being happy with what you've achieved in the day, I think that's the greatest of them all. Definitely. And I can give you an example that I kind of wrote about in my book because I remember it so clearly. This was, say, 2014, right? So it's not like really far away. Um, I had a talent deal with ABC Studios to do a show with them. And it was my step into America. It had taken me it was a lot of lamenting that took me into, saying, all right, because it would take time out of my Indian career. And that means I couldn't do as much work so it was large risk. Like, what if it doesn't pay off? What if it's a waste of my time? So all of that was playing in my head. And anyway, I took the decision. I had this amazing talent deal and I loved this one show called Quantico, and I had to go in and audition for it. Now, I had a prolific career in India for almost 8-9 years by then. I was like, yo, bro, everyone does it here. You're going to do it. You're starting out and it's new. I knew that. My practical mind knew that. But I remember when I walked into the studio where the audition was, and there were a couple of chairs outside and there were 2 other girls and they were beautiful and they were everything that this character was. And I was like, why would you do that? Why would you let the other actors see the other actor? So I was thinking about all of these things freaking out in my mind. I went to the restroom and I was like, all right, thankfully it was empty. It was great. There was only 2 stalls. I checked, there was nobody else. And I just had one of those moments that you have in romantic comedies. You have done 50 movies. Do you know how many movies that is? 50 movies. And I gave myself a whole pep talk. And I was like, you know your job. You're not new at this. You have experience. You have way more experience than those girls sitting outside. Use that. Use what you know. And I really empowered myself. I strutted down that hallway into that room and got that job, talking myself into doing it.